Hey, wrestling fans, welcome to the One Wing Wrestling Podcast, where we help you navigate the complex world of pro wrestling, bring you the best matches, world class wrestlers, and news you can count on. At One Wing Wrestling, we bring the elite to you. I'm your host, Krishna Dhanai, and joining me, as always, is Mr. Bill Cupush. Bill, how's it going?
It's going pretty well for a Monday. It's nice outside, so it was okay. I just got back from my walk. I know it's the same old with me, right? It's as our listeners have probably gathered at this point, I lead a very simple, straightforward life, and I love it like that. So not much going on. Had a pretty decent, if somewhat tiring weekend. Lots of events, family events, which you're well aware of. So it was interesting. So, how was your weekend?
Well, I was, released after Wednesday being captured. I successfully got out, during a feeding period. I decided to sneak out, and I'm now a free man as well. So, I'm doing good. It's Monday. I mean, what can you really say about Mondays, right? It's here, beginning of the new week. So yeah, I'm good. I mean, it's nice outside. No snow. It's actually kind of warm, so that's good news. So yeah, no, I've been doing good.
And I have it on strong authority that you have gained some sympathy for all sports mascots now.
Oh man, I when you see a mascot and you see people dressed up in costumes like that, you never realize how uncomfortable they must be, and especially you're right, sports mascots, how hot it must be under those like helmets or whatever they're wearing. Yeah, I experienced that, as you know, this weekend, dressing up for my niece's birthday party, and man, I was on fire. Like my head was absolutely on fire. I was sweating. Yeah, and one of the most uncomfortable experiences I've ever had. I really do have a lot of respect for those guys now, and the fact that they do it and they do flips and all that crazy stuff. So yeah, they've earned my respect.
Yeah, so what Krishna didn't tell you is he was dressed up as Elmo, a very tall Elmo.
Yeah, guys.
I immediately
Hey,
turned
Elbow
to the
has to
guy.
grow up sometime, right? I mean, like, guys, come on. And just for the listeners, it's not a furry party we're talking about. It was a kid's birthday party that we dressed up for. We're not into that kind of stuff. But if you are, hey, we're not gonna judge. Yeah, it was a kid's birthday party. The kids loved it. So hey, I guess I worked out.
You know, so does Mayui Watani having like a tail at the back of her wrestling trunks count as furry?
It doesn't count. It's attached to her. She's not covered
Okay,
in it.
gotcha. Okay, so that's good. That's good.
I,
Then
I
then
do
I can
wonder
safely
about
say I'm with you.
I do wonder about the luchador masks and stuff like that, right? Like the stuff that
Hmm.
Bandito wears and stuff like that. Like fully
Oh,
covers your
yeah.
face, right? And like he covers his entire face. So I know there's air coming out or going in, but yeah, those luchador masks, they don't look that comfortable. Unless the ones that are
Yeah.
cut out with the nose, maybe. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, most of them seem to have the cutouts right around the nose
Mhm.
and mouth. Like Starlight Kid comes down with like one mask over the other, kind of like Rey
Yeah.
Mysterio did sometimes and stuff, right? He'd have one mask over the mask he's gonna wear in the ring,
Mhm.
right? So yeah, yeah. But no, I mean I have never seen Krishna sweat so much as when he took off that. And man, Tristan, our my nephew, his cousin, same thing. I've never seen. He was just drenched. I have no idea who he was
Yes.
supposed to be, but he was some guy who might have been a giant John Cena or
A
something. I
giant
have no
baby. A
idea.
giant baby. That's what he was.
No, no, I'll take your word for it. But anyway, yeah, I know absolutely nothing about kids shows, so yeah. Anyway, we do have a podcast on wrestling,
Mhm.
guys, believe it or not. And here on the Monday show, OWW Weekly, we are going to go through some of the news of the week because we do tell you that we provide you with news you can count on. And then we're going to have a look at AEW. Krishna's going to give us the roundup. I'm going to look at some matches from Japan again this week and some news from Japan. We're going to give our matches of the week, our wrestlers of the week, and you never know what other fun stuff might happen along the way. Maybe it denies Dirtsheet. We shall
We shall see.
see. And
We
of
shall see.
course, if you're enjoying what you're listening to, please, by all means, give us that 5-star review on your favorite podcast app. Give us that thumbs up and subscribe on YouTube. Every little bit helps us keep the content coming. So we truly appreciate every single one of you who takes time out of your life, your busy week to listen to us. So thank you very much, those of you who are listening. And yeah, let's get on with some news, shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay. Well, first off, I thought before we even get into the news, I'm going to skip backwards a bit. And we did have Dynamite this week,
We
and you
did.
were trapped in a closet eating soda crackers, and were unable to actually comment. And I was just wondering some of your thoughts on some of the matches that we did have on Dynamite. Was there anything that stuck out to you and you were like, "Oh my God, this was awesome"?
Yeah, first I want to give a shout out to Isiah Kassidy. I'm going to give him I call it the moan of the week, because when he got really close to Kenny Omega and then decided to moan in his ear and listening and watching Kenny's reaction, I almost died. I was in tears. I couldn't believe I I love Isiah Kassidy. He's so funny, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
their reactions to everything. The fact when he moans in Kenny's ear, Kenny's reaction is like, what the hell was that? And
Yeah.
but just it's so good. I like this group that they formed with Kassidy, Hardy, and Page. It's just working for some reason. It's so ridiculous. But
Mm-hmm.
and I hated it at first. I absolutely hated it. I'm like, you know what? This is actually working, and I'll get more into that in my Rampage report. But like that, I could not stop laughing when they dropped
Mm-hmm.
that challenge. I was in tears. Um, Obviously the match that stuck out to me, which I knew it was going to be a good match, and I didn't even know where I wanted to rank it, was the Darby Allin match against Samoa Joe. Like easily, like one of the top match. Like we always say this, Darby Allin does everything he can and anything he can to win.
Mm-hmm.
When he started ripping out parts of the ring and pulling out the mats and stuff like that, I was like, what is he doing to
Mm-hmm.
get the muscle buster coming out in that sweater,
Thumbtack hoodie.
thumbtacks all over it, and then having Joe even use it on him. Joe gets run into the hoodie, and you can see the spots where
Yeah.
he gets. It was such a good match. Like
Mm-hmm.
like our Ellen just jumping through the ropes into the table. I'm like, as Joe just sidesteps
Oh, I
him.
loved that.
Oh,
Yeah.
such like that was my match of the week. It was so awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome. I always say, like, man, Darby Allin, like I don't give him enough credit. Who knows, maybe that might change this week, but like he lost, and
Mm-hmm.
this in no way hurts him at all.
Yeah.
At all. Like this guy again just comes out on top regardless if he wins or he loses. He's always on top. So you know what? Like AEW, they have a star in Darby Allin that they
Oh yeah.
need to like just lock up, because the fans love him. He can never like be a bad guy because it just won't work. And yeah, it just makes sense. We'll talk about bad guys and stuff like that in a bit. But one thing I did want to bring up from Dynamite was the fact that Jade Cargill's match. I listened to the podcast, and I mean, I did hear you kind of say some really nice things about Jade, and
They weren't really nice. They were
they
just
were,
nice.
yeah, exactly. From you, they were really nice. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought the match was well done. Um, I thought the buildup was disappointing. I thought that for a match that's supposed to be someone's 50th match,
Yes.
like what do? You gave Velvet some matches on Elevation and Dark, no promos, nothing.
Yeah.
It's like who cares? It's supposed to be a big deal, 50th match, and it fell flat. And according to Brian Alvarez, and the ratings wise, it was the lowest rated segment of this past week's Dynamite.
Well, it was still not like a great match. I gave it 3
No,
stars.
but the thing
It was
is that you
okay.
have
It
to,
was good, but it
yeah, but
wasn't
you have to
like
remember that she has her fans, right? And Jade has her fans. It's a problem. They just didn't care about her versus Velvet. There was no buildup, right?
I'm skeptical she has that many fans.
Listen, all the podcasts I listen to, everyone says they love Jade Cargill, right? The only person that didn't say that was Mr. Jim Cornette, who absolutely despised her. But I listened to like a lot of these other wrestling podcasts, and they're like, Jade is so great. Jade is such
But
an
she's
athlete,
not
which she is.
great.
Which
Do
she's an
any of
athlete.
these people watch Stardom?
I don't know. I can't speak to that. I really can't. No, I would say they do, because I mean, even Sean Ross Sapp, when he does his podcast, they talk about how great Jade is. and they love her, and he did, remember, Stardom almost won an award for them, right? So they clearly
Yeah.
are watching Stardom.
Well, sure. I see this week she had a decent, and I'll say decent, match against Red Velvet. Not a lot of mess ups. Probably the best match I've ever seen Jade Cargill put on, and it reached a whopping 3 stars, right? Which is not a bad rating. It means it didn't totally suck. It didn't just do nothing. It was a decent match. That doesn't mean, I mean, look, half the match was Red Velvet.
Yeah,
But I
exactly.
mean, Jade Cargill doing stuff, and yeah, it was semi-impressive walking up the stairs carrying her. But so what? Feats of strength, unless it's like the deadlifting kind of stuff that Claudio Castagnoli does, so what?
Yeah.
So what? Because all you have to be is larger than your opponents.
Yeah.
Right.
Fair
and in
enough.
decent shape. And most wrestlers these days, let's face it, the vast majority of wrestlers these days are in great athletic condition. I mean, a lot of the stuff that we took as, oh my God, what a move in the 80s is just par for the course now. Right. I mean, like we were talking about last week, the DDT and Superplex used to be finishing moves.
Yep. And now they're not.
They're not anymore. So someone walking up the stairs, gorilla pressing, I was kind of like, okay, well, that was nice. Right. That was kind of cool. Good job.
Yeah,
so what?
Yeah, and I mean, like it's, I don't want to take anything away from her, but I mean, like, it's like Velvet's like, what, she looks like she's like 100 pounds lighter than Jade. So I mean, there's quite the the difference there. So that's why I was like, okay, it's good, but you know, I've seen people like Claudio do this to sizable people as well, right? So yeah, so I mean, like that, I thought the build, I don't know what's going on with like some of this booking, because I'm like, that wasn't the greatest. Like I mean, the Billy Gunn segment they had this week after the Acclaimed left. Oh, sorry, the Acclaim won that match, feeding those guys to the Acclaim. I thought, like, you know, okay, so I guess from like a mile away now we're seeing the turn happen, right? Because that's what's gonna happen, right? The Billy, so he totally set it up that he's going to get his sons to win, which I'm like, I don't think anyone asked for the Guns to ever win the tag belts ever, but I guess that's what they're going with, is my assumption. I don't know. It's just a lot of like weird things when it comes to booking, and honestly, like the storylines are just not really there for a lot of some of these things, right? I could see things slowly building. Yeah, we have till March 5th, I think, is Revolution. So yeah, there's time to build. I mean, we're only like legit a month away. We're a month away. So yeah, we have time. But like like I don't get into it, but like House Black and all this other stuff, like what's going on with all these guys, right? And suddenly like people are just popping up now from randomly, like Arn Anderson is back, apparently. Like, what the heck is going on there? A lot of odd choices. Like, why is House of Black on Elevation again? Like, I don't get it. Like, there's a lot of things I just don't get. And but back to Dynamite. Like, I mean, I thought it was a good show. I thought the match at the end. Like, I mean, hey, I said Takeshita was going to steal the show. Great match. But man, there's no way I couldn't have given it to Darby and Joe. Like, that match was absolutely insane. And guess what? It didn't use that much blood, right? Nope. If you look at that match, there wasn't that much blood in it. Nope. And the things they did to each other was absolutely insane. I'm starting to believe Darby Allin just can't bleed. That's it with Darby Allin. He just can't, right? Like, the guy literally like wears white face paint, daring you to make him bleed. He doesn't. And the things he does, you're like, yeah, he should have been cut there. Should have been cut there. Should have been cut there. He's not blading himself, clearly. But regardless, he seems unbreakable. And I think he should go with that or something like that, because this kid just keeps getting back up, right? So, and AEW, again, they have such great young talent. Like these, Guevara, Garcia, like literally the pillars, right? Like in the women as well. So yeah, like I thought Dynamite was actually a good show. I mean, I'll talk about Elevation and stuff like that, like their episodes, but yeah, I thought I enjoyed it. But again, my match of the night, clearly that last match was so good. My God.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, and we will definitely get into some of the booking issues in
Hmm.
AEW when we get to it, and the fact that let's I mean, we're sounding a little negative there, but I mean, let's keep in mind we're talking about the Jade Cargill match, but how many amazing wrestling matches did we get last week on Dynamite again, and then again on
All
Rampage?
of them, all of
Yeah,
them, and that's what I'm saying. Like
yeah,
we're getting really quality, and it's hard for me to pick matches
yeah.
because they're all really good just
Oh,
to
I
check them
know.
out.
It's like we're so spoiled with the
Yeah,
wrestling now,
now we're
right? I
getting
mean,
spoiled.
it
Yeah.
it really is like we have such great wrestling matches
Mhm.
that like all we're saying is let's make it perfect. Let's
Yeah.
get the storylines that back up these great matches,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we're not asking for like Omega Osprey every time,
No, no, we're
but
not.
but just
But if you're
whatever.
asking us
But
for good, like for good matches to watch, we're gonna. I might sometimes just say go watch the entire show. Like go
yeah,
watch, check out the entire thing. You have some time, go check it out, right?
yeah, for sure, for sure.
So yeah,
But but that doesn't mean we can't also criticize the booking. So we will.
true, and we will listen. It's all in
Yeah.
fairness, right? Because we as much as we can bash WWE and whomever,
Hmm.
like you know what? If they do a storyline better, I'll
Yeah.
say,
Well, yeah,
and I'll
and
call it out.
I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this on the podcast or if it was
Mhm.
just to you, but I did watch a put together video of the Bloodline. So I saw 11 minutes of the Bloodline, and look, like I said, credit where it's due. Solid story, really good stuff.
Yeah,
So,
exactly,
if they
exactly.
do good things, I will give credit. Doesn't mean I'm going to watch WW anyway. And it's not that I hate it, I just don't want to watch it. So, sadly, in other news, we do have some bad news to report. Lanny Poffo, the brother of Randy Savage, has passed away, and he passed away on February the 2nd while staying with a friend in the New York area. He was 68 years old. The cause of death has not been noted. Most of his career, he was leaping Lanny Poffo, a high flyer. He tagged with his brother, fought against his brother on occasion. He's most remembered for playing the genius in WWF from 85 to 92, which is how I remember him. I totally remember that gimmick. He'd come out in a cap and gown, recite poetry. Just he was sort of the basis for who was that guy that was Damian Sandow?
Sandow, yeah.
Yeah, he was like it was that kind of gimmick, only perhaps slightly better because it was the first. And he was he at one point he managed Mr. Perfect.
Oh, nice.
An interesting story from him. Then this goes to WCW, WCW and Mr. Eric Bischoff. Um, Apparently he was with WCW from 95 to 99. Do you ever recall when we sat and watched all those WCW pay-per-views and stuff together? Do you remember
Yeah, it
Lanny
would have been
Poffo
around
at
that.
all?
No, and that's the thing. I'm Lanny Poffo. No,
You know why you don't remember? Here's the
what?
story. So when Savage signed with WCW, he wanted his brother to come too, right? And
Hmm.
Bischoff agreed and signed him. Savage wanted his brother to play Gorgeous George. So what happens? Gorgeous George, the famous heel
Hmm.
wrestler in like the 40s and 50s, blah, blah. Well, Randy Savage bought the rights to that name, right? Which is why his valet was eventually called Gorgeous George, right? Because he
Oh,
actually owned the rights to that name. So he wanted his brother to play Gorgeous George. And so that was fine. He was like, I'm down with that. I can do that. So Poffo got ready for the role, bleached his hair, got in shape, and then he waited and waited
hmm.
and waited and waited by the phone for 4 years. The
Oh my
call from
God.
Eric Bischoff never came for 4 years. The kicker is he was still paid a six-figure salary while he sat at home doing nothing
Hey,
for
good on
four
it.
years.
You know,
Exactly. He
you
said
know, it's
it, he
one
said it was the best 4 years of wrestling.
awesome. No, good for him. Good for him.
Yep. Yeah, and he did wrestle one dark match apparently in 1997. But I mean, this wasn't just a 4 year contract. They were
Mhm.
renewing his
His
contract
contract
during this time. Now, Eric Bischoff claimed much later on that Randy Savage took a pay cut so that
to
they
get
could pay his
that's
brother. Whether or not
regardless.
that's true, I
Yeah,
don't know. But
regardless.
that is Eric Bischoff's side of the story, is that Randy Savage took a pay cut to pay his brother. So,
Well, think about that. What's the
mhm.
difference between that and like colleges in the US paying for like families of like players they want to come play for them to come in? There's no
Mhm.
difference, right? So Randy Savage was that important to
Mhm.
WCW. So yeah, I definitely can see that happening. And
Yeah.
good on Larry. Is it his
Lanny
name
Lanny Poffo.
Lanny? I keep saying Larry for them, Lanny, because I know some wrestlers, like let's say a Danielson and like a Moxley and the Omega and the Bucks, this would hurt them. They
Mm-hmm.
would be like, I need to be wrestling. I can't not be wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like Lanny, he probably knew like, yeah, I've tried. Hey, I've got a good deal. I'm not destroying my body every night and stuff like that. Good deal on for that. So good on him. Good. I like
Yep.
that. You know what? Make your money, man. Make it where you can. So good for you. That's actually pretty cool. So
Yep.
yeah, I saw the article and I read about it that he had passed, and I saw wrestlers reach like tweeting about it and saying how he had helped them
Mm-hmm.
throughout their career and stuff like that. And yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, that's what, like Randy Savage passed away when this is like, my God, like over a decade ago it's been, or
Yeah.
it's been,
Well over. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Quite a while back now.
yeah. So it's sad. I guess both the wrestling brothers are now gone, but you know, hopefully it wasn't an overdose or anything like that.
No,
And
I
yeah,
don't think it was. He was a very clean liver,
good.
apparently. Vegetarian, stayed away from
Oh, so there you go.
alcohol, tried to eat healthy as well as he can. So
How
just
old
not
was he? Do you know?
68.
Okay, so that
Yeah.
he lived a decent lifespan, I guess, right? Still pretty
Yeah, a
young.
little
Still pretty
early. I'd,
young.
I'd I'd like to go further than 68 personally,
No,
but
I'm just saying it's still,
yeah.
as I said, still pretty young, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. He was quite the personality,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
apparently, by all accounts, a really good guy, and barely ever had a bad. Even like when his brother would go off on people and stuff, like he supported Hulk Hogan back when the whole Randy Savage Hulk Hogan thing went down, like the real life Randy
Oh
Savage
wow.
Hulk Hogan thing. So he
Oh
was
wow.
just like, no, I like you both. I'm not
Mhm.
getting involved in
Not
this.
getting
I
involved.
got like, Hulk Hogan was there for some of the best years of my wrestling career when he
Mhm.
was he was with Mr. Perfect, and Mr. Perfect was feuding with Hulk Hogan, and so yeah, and so yeah, he by all accounts he was a class act, which is very
Yeah,
cool.
that's good.
In some other news, Kyle O'Reilly,
Mhm.
as we all know, he's been injured for
Name
quite a while.
name
Well,
sounds familiar.
yes,
Kyle O'Reilly.
yes, I know, right? That's right. He does wrestle, right? Yeah. Well, Adam Cole was on the Wrestling Observer Radio this week, and he said while he was on that he speaks with Kyle every day. Kyle's doing much better now and is in good spirits, though. Before he went off with a neck injury, Adam Cole was saying that Kyle was at the point where he couldn't take any more at all. He was just done, right?
Mm.
O'Reilly had surgery in September to fix the neck, but there have been complications after that he's been working through,
Hmm.
and there is, as of right now, no timetable for his return.
Ah, that sucks. No, that sucks. Like when he disappeared, or should I should say when he left for surgery, it was kind of odd. It was actually very sudden because it's like, wait, O'Reilly's hurts? Like when did he get hurt? But apparently
Mm-hmm.
these were things he was dealing with for a long time. A la Kenny Omega, right? Like these guys, there's a certain point where I think now I can see Tony Khan kind of saying, okay, guys, you need to report these things, these ailments,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to take this stuff seriously because we lost Omega for a year. Who knows how long we're going to lose O'Reilly for, or if he ever decides to come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get ahead of these things. Could you imagine just randomly just saying Adam Cole coming out and saying, guys, I can't do it. I was dealing with all this stuff for such a long time, put my body through everything, and I'm done. Right? It's kind of like one of those shocking things where like selfishly you're like, what? Like, no, you can't, right?
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic. I really do like Kyle O'Reilly. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of hope he does come back, and I we have like the undisputed whatever they want to call themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like him and Adam Cole and stuff like that. I'm actually hoping for that to happen. But yeah, obviously we want him to get better. It kind of sucks that there's no time for it, like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, you know what? We have tons of wrestlers, so right now I think we're okay.
Yes, let him recover to his fullest
Yeah,
potential, because let's face it, it's not like AEW is lacking for talented wrestlers right
yeah,
now.
and we have other wrestlers who are not injured who just don't like storylines or in and just don't want to work it. So who cares about them too, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, precisely. I would much rather have a Kyle O'Reilly back than someone who just doesn't feel like working in the
Yeah,
storylines that he's offered. So,
exactly.
yep. Anyway, so one more small news item to report. I'm going to emphasize the small part on this, but I thought it was important to
It is
mention
very
because
small.
it was reported on Fightful Select. So apparently
Mhm.
there was more to a months old confrontation between Swerve Strickland and Ricky Starks than was first reported. Apparently, after their match, which was a tag team title match between, I guess it was Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs at the time, taking on Swerve and Our Glory, who were the tag team champions. There was a miscommunication in the ring. Swerve decided to try something at a point in the match to add something to it. Ricky didn't love it. They got into it backstage. Apparently, now that was an actual scuffle. Now, this news is months
Yep.
old.
It just
This
got
kind of
released.
this is almost like this is a great transition piece to move into your dirt sheet in a minute, because it's like, although this may be true, although it likely happened, because Sean Rossap, to the best of my knowledge, Fightful Select does not go around giving fake news.
Mhm.
They're a pretty reputable source. It's just, to me, this is a sign of, man, guys, we got one seriously slow news week out there, and yet here you and I are talking about it too. So yeah, okay, they had a scuffle, and apparently they're fine
They're fine.
now.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I mean, it's like the reason it came up is because I think Sorb actually talked about it on a podcast he hosted this weekend, because
Okay,
he's on the Jericho cruise right now, where he
right.
actually he performed in the ring and actually performed some of his music, and he podcasted at the same not at the same time. That'd be
At the
kind of
same
crazy.
time.
But he talked about this the scuffle, and he kind of gave his what happened, and it was the 6-man, or not 6-man, I guess, is the it was like a triangle
Oh, right.
tag match.
It had
So the
Jungle
Acclaimed were in
Boy
it.
and in
So
it
it's
too,
Jungle Boy
right?
and
Yeah, yeah,
Luchasaurus,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So they had said that there was a spot where three guys were in the ring. It was Starks, Jungle Boy, and Swerve.
Yeah.
Now, the move was supposed to be Swerve was supposed to hit his finisher on Starks and go for a pin. But when it happened, they said that Swerve was just standing there. So Swerve said, he saw himself just standing there doing nothing, so it made no sense. So he attacked Ricky. Ricky then threw him out of the ring.
Mhm.
Right? She goes, because that made more sense. He goes, what, I'm going to stand there and let the pin happen?
Yeah.
Like, again, you'll hear us call people out and like, why did you save that person from elimination? Or why did you, like, we'll call people out on that. So we'll actually call people out and saying like, yeah, why are you just standing there? So he improvised. Starks didn't like that. That's where the scuffle happened. But again, he said they resolved it. They actually work well together now. Right. And there's no issues. But he said that he knew it was going to pop up. He wanted to get ahead of it, and he discussed it. So he's again squashed. Again, slow news week. That's why everyone's talking about it, because there's nothing else to talk about. Guess what? There isn't any big news. Nothing Vince related. No backstage brawls at AEW. No skirmishes at like the press conferences. Nothing. Everything is just flowing as normal, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, let's face it, in most wrestling companies right now, there's not a lot of
Nothing.
like news style stuff that's going on. There's some announcements around events and things like that, which I will get to in my report too. But hey, slow news week, I'll take it. And you know what? Good on Swerve. That was really
Mhm.
smart in his part to come out and just say, listen, at some point, some of you guys are going to report on this, because Lord knows you all love to. Here's what
Mhm.
happened.
Yeah,
It's over. It's done. Goodbye.
I love Swerve. Swerve
Yep.
is so
And I
cool.
think that is the nail that we can put in that coffin.
Yes, we can. Like
Okay.
when I heard it, I'm like, oh my god, there's a fight backstage, and then they were like, all in. I was like, we're all out. I was like, what? I'm like, when did it?
Months ago.
I'm looking at the date. I'm like, okay, but it's saying today's date. But then why are they talking about all out? What the hell,
I
right?
know. It's just
So
it's this whole notion somehow in our society that we need to generate news for the sake of news, because that's how, I
come
guess
on,
it just
guys. Like
works
we should
now.
be talking about really important things, like the U.S. Shooting down a Chinese spy balloon. like a,
Oh
like
my God.
I've heard such ridiculous things, and I'm like, wow, it really is a slow
Oh yeah.
news
Hey,
week.
hey. My wife came home and she said, hey, did you hear, like, China's all mad that they shut down the spy balloon and stuff? I'm like, well, okay. Newsflash, countries spy on each
Yeah,
other.
I know.
It happens. There are spies in every country from every country. Um,
Is this a
is someone got
surprise to anybody?
caught?
Yeah.
Who
Who cares?
cares?
And the funny part is China's response, we believe the US is overreacting. I was like, oh my God.
Uh,
I'm like, all right, China. All right. I laughed at that one.
yeah.
So ridiculous.
If this were 1980s WWF, you can only imagine the
Oh
characters
my
Vince would
God.
have been trotting
Oh
out.
my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Anyway.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm good. I just
Yep.
I you know what I saw funny I saw the news report and I'm like, really? This is the
This
thing?
this is why I don't even like I didn't know this even happened until my wife came home and told me
Oh
because
my
I
God.
don't even watch the news. I don't listen to the news. I don't watch the news. I get 2 minutes of news in the morning and it's usually Toronto centric. And you know what? The news I get, wrestling. That's about, or if it's not wrestling, Star Wars or movies or entertainment or something. But news, whatever. The world, look, world's gonna happen whether we do anything with it or not. So
Yep.
anyway, but I think the fact that there is all this slower stuff going on is a good place for us to segue into. Do we have a Dhanai's dirt sheet this
Yeah,
week?
and that's it, right? There really isn't anything. Just like there were like reports of like Will Ospreay sign in, like not actually Will Ospreay, but Will Ospreay sign
Yes,
in
Will Ospreay.
yeah
Yes.
in New Japan. We know Osprey's contract will be coming up, I guess, soon or a year from now.
End
I
of
don't
the
even know.
year.
And yeah, wow, this bidding war 2024
Mm-hmm.
really is for a lot of people, hey?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the one that keeps bringing it up. But Will in a recent interview mentioned how much he absolutely loves wrestling in Japan and
Yep.
how he loves the fans in Japan. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously people are just right away, oh, he's staying. And there's no way. And then there are other people like, oh no. He's misdirecting people. He's saying these things so he can sign. And I'm like, you know what? At this point, either way, I'm more or less kind of like, you know, I know where he's not going to sign, right? So, so, and the other two, I'm okay with any of them. I really
Yeah.
am. If he
It
signs
just
AEW, he signs AEW. If he signs
yeah.
in New Japan, great.
Mm-hmm.
We're still gonna see him wrestle. We're still gonna see him wrestle, the greats as well, right? So I mean,
It's February
it's
6th.
February 6th. I know.
It's like people. It's a contract. It's
Yeah.
gonna come up. He's gonna go wherever it makes the most sense for him to go. And wherever he goes, he will wrestle like a wrestling god.
Mhm.
So I'm fine with that. I guess people want to speculate for the next 11 months.
Yeah, they will. They will.
That's
And that's the
fine.
thing, right? And that's it. And it's like there are rumors
Mm-hmm.
that Trinity Fatu, also known as Naomi,
Mm-hmm.
is most likely going to be going to AEW. But I'm like, but why? Anyways, but and the whole thing was because she may or may not have indicated in an interview that she's not interested in going back to WWE. So I said, well,
Mm-hmm.
just because she said that doesn't mean Tony Khan is going to hire her and or AEW even wants her,
Exactly.
right? So I don't know. It's one
Well,
of those things where I'm like, it's
keep
another Sasha
yeah.
Banks thing. I'm like, who
Well,
cares?
keep in mind that one of the reasons you and I do this podcast,
Mhm.
right, is because there is a wide world of wrestling out there
Correct.
that is not fully accessible to people sometimes. They either are not aware of it, they're not sure how to get into it, they're not sure where it is, etc. Right? They're not sure who the people are. There's a lot of things that are barriers to people getting into wrestling outside of the mainstream. And I mean, we can call AEW is probably the most mainstream thing you and I watch.
Mhm.
And the reason we watch AEW is because, well, let's face it, the elite are on the show.
Of course.
And there's some good wrestling. The the thing is, right, when people hear, oh, this person's leaving company A, well, then therefore they must be going to company B because there is only company A and company
Yeah.
B, and no one wants to work anywhere but company
Mhm.
A and company B. So it's like a lot of WWE fans just assume that AEW exists to scoop up discarded AEW talent,
Mhm.
right? Which is only true occasionally, but not true all the time.
Yep.
By the same token, there's a lot of AEW fans that assume WWE will just pick up anyone at all and then treat them like crap, which is not the truth
Not
either
necessarily
in a
true.
lot of
Yeah.
cases. That's not necessarily true either, right? I mean, people will choose which company they want to work for based on what they want, the lifestyle they want, etc. If someone's willing and able to go on the road for as long as they can and aren't worried about like family time and stuff, WWE may be a great pick. They can pay a lot of money,
Yeah.
right? If they're
Agreed.
not worried about their booking necessarily, right? But then again, AEW's fallen into that same problem too, right? It's
Yeah.
why Frankie Kazarian left
Mm-hmm.
because the booking wasn't there for him and he cared about his wrestling
His
career.
wrestling.
Yep.
Yep.
So, the money was less important to him than actually getting a chance to be a wrestler, right? Kind of what we were talking about before with Lanny Poffo,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
In Frankie Kazarian's case, he chose Impact because he wants to wrestle. And
Yeah.
that makes sense, right? But that's just it. He chose Impact. He didn't choose Company A or Company B.
Yeah.
He chose Company C, right? And then there's also people who choose Company D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and all the way through all the letters of the alphabet 5 or 6 times because there are a lot of wrestling companies out there.
Actually, funny story. As you said, you went down the list there. This has nothing to do with Dhanai's Dirtsheet. But the other day, I was in the office. We were talking about stuff, and one of the girls I work with, she said, what'd you do this weekend? And I said, oh, you know what? Funny, I went to a Toronto wrestling show called Smash, and she's like, oh yeah, Smash, I know that. I'm like, she goes, they have events at the rec room. I'm like, what? I'm like, when did you go? She said because she's like a TFC ticket holder, Toronto FC.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they promote Smash Wrestling. So her and her friends one time went down, and she's like, hey, does Suave still wrestle? I'm like, you mean Sebastian Suave? She's like, yeah, they used to call him Suave. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that. I go, are you guys just pronouncing it incorrectly? Because she's like, I don't know, they were calling him that, and we were going along with it. I'm like, well, he doesn't wrestle anymore. He's kind of like the promoter and owner of Smash, right? So that's what he does. He's background stuff. I go, we see him there,
Oh, he
and
still
she started,
wrestles.
yeah. She goes, what about that guy, the crazy guy? I'm like, Psycho Mike, and she's like, yeah, him. I go, he's still the same, and he's so awesome. She's like, yeah, we all like him too. But I was so impressed that, like in the
Mm-hmm.
little circle that I had, people actually knew about Smash Wrestling and how fun it was. And apparently they've been going to the rec room for years. I didn't even know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was pretty impressive. She actually asked about a few wrestlers, and I'm like, I have no idea who you're talking about. And she's like, yeah, this person used to do. I was like, oh wow, I didn't know. So I'm like, okay, cool. So there are Smash fans all across Toronto that we just don't know about, right? So
Yep.
yeah, no, I just thought I'd bring that little nugget up because it just came to my head as you were mentioning the different promotions like Smash Wrestling, for
Yep.
example. So I thought I would share that with everyone.
Oh, absolutely. And anyone who actually wants to check out Smash, who's curious about what Krishna and I are talking about, they do have a good YouTube channel. They put up a lot of free matches there. So if you're ever wondering what Smash Wrestling actually looks like, just search them on YouTube, Smash Wrestling. You'll get their channel, and they put up free matches all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, not a bad place to sort of get your feet wet when you want to check out some of these talents that Krishna and I are talking about. And you don't happen to live in the Southern Ontario area. So there you go. Anywho, this brings us to our AEW Roundup.
Cool. So this week, AEW actually, this week, last week, whatever. Last week, AEW had their 100th episode of Elevation, which is kind of impressive. I didn't actually realize they got to 100 episodes already. Episode was pretty good, the entire thing. Like, I really had no complaints. I had some call outs, like Athena. Man, she's really good as a heel. She's so funny. Like, she was trying to recruit someone to be her tag team partner.
Yeah.
And she ended up recruiting Diamante. She walks up, she's like, who's this person again? And they're like, Diamante. Like, oh, Diamante. She's like, do you not remember me? Do you not remember last time you almost broke my face? And she's like, that doesn't really sound like me, does it? But she ended up promising her a shot at the belt if she helped her win the match against Sky Blue and Yuka Sakazaki. So I mean that was going into the match was fun. That was a really good match. Yuka, I just love her energy. It's
She
so
is amazing.
Yeah, she's so fun. She's just
she's
so
such
fun.
a good wrestler.
Yeah. Yeah, she really is. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, in this match, you could tell when she was going up against Diamante and Athena, like you can tell, like they work so well together.
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell where like other people may be a bit green. No, this match was actually really good. Even Sky Blue was really good in this match too. Like I have to give
Mm-hmm.
props there. Um, the Dark Order versus the Workhorsemen. Like it was literally Alex Reynolds and John Silver
Yeah.
versus the Workhorsemen. What a great match. Like even
Mm-hmm.
the announcers at the ending, they're like, if there are tag team matches, and then there are tag team matches. This is a tag team match. It is fantastic. Like these guys work so well together. Why are these matches not on Dynamite? I'm gonna start. I'll complain about the bat. Why are these matches not on Dynamite?
I don't know, because again, another tag team match, right? We keep complaining about the tag team division, which is now just the
No,
Acclaim doing a bunch
no.
of like crap junk on. Don't even get me started. I'm gonna get
Yeah.
wound
So
up.
so again, I don't understand. Kudos to Brian Pillman Jr. He's back now. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's back, which is great. He's wrestling. Unfortunately, he wrestled against Roosh, and they tried to kill each other. What I like about these dark matches though is that they're not all squash matches. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
never something where like 2 seconds in, done. Like it's not a
Right.
WWE squash match. You know what I mean? Like there's always the opponent or the challenger always has like a bit of offense before
Or
they
you
get
mean like an
killed.
Acclaimed squash match?
Like maybe in the squash match,
Yeah.
which is again a WWE squash match. But Roosh versus Pillman Jr. great. I mean, obviously Roosh just killed him at certain point, but Pillman Jr. was giving it back to him at certain points, and I was like, this is like really good. It makes you not miss Andrade at all. And then moving on to Kings of the Black Throne. I love that name. That's
Mm.
such a cool name. The Kings of the Black Throne versus Turbo Floyd and Truth Magnum. This, I guess, you could consider a squash match because House of Black just
It's
destroyed them.
it's the same guys that the Acclaimed
Yes,
beat on.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's the same guys. But I must give like, did you see the way that I'm not sure if you saw it, but did you see the way that Malachi was moving in this match? He was
Mm-hmm.
doing flips that Guevara does, and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Where the heck? What the hell happened to Malachi Black recently? Great shape. He's
Mm-hmm.
moving like Sammy Guevara in the ring. I was like, God damn, this guy's awesome. Hear
Yep.
that, Tony Khan? Awesome. Put him back on the main roster. We'll get back to the House of Black in a bit. And then, yeah, the last match, Claudio Castagnoli versus Blake Christian. I don't know who Blake Christian was. Didn't know he was. He got his full entrance, everything. They did mention about him. Really good match. Fun match. Like Claudio just flying at him at the beginning of the match, trying to get the pin. Obviously, it was a great spot, but they went back and forth. And you're right. The power of Claudio Castagnoli. It's he's pound for pound the strongest wrestler I've ever seen ever. Period. That's it. Right. He's so good. But no, as I said, Elevation, the 100th episode, it's a pretty great episode. Just all together. It's just if you have a chance, go check it out. Dark. So Dark again. I mean, again, I'm choosing matches. So like we complain, not complain, we say that everyone serves a purpose, and we always talked about who was what's his name? Oh my god, why am I drawing a blank? The guys who were with Cody Rhodes, the
Like,
factory, sorry, the
oh,
factory,
yeah,
the
yeah,
factory.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. With QT Marshall, right? How
Mm-hmm.
they serve a purpose and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Peter Avalon and his crew, the wingmen, they're hilarious. I'm really
Mm-hmm.
they're really starting to grow on me, and they really do serve a purpose of like, yeah, we can squash these guys. Well, then maybe you should use them on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Use them on TV if you want those squash. At least you have people who are actually signed to you, and you can use them. But Top Flight, I guess they're giving Top Flight and AR Fox some matches here because, of course, you know what's happened this
Yep.
week. Top Flight, AR Fox, what a showcase! What an absolute showcase for these guys. Like they had Benone like carrying them around and like showing his power, but they didn't hold a candle to like Top Flight and AR Fox. These guys, like if you want flippity flips and all that kind of stuff, like this is one of those matches you should check out. I also had a note. So Brock Anderson is back along with Arn Anderson, right? And I was like, okay. I didn't see this happening, but apparently Arn Anderson is now, he has, I guess, new merchandise up, and apparently he's trying to promote a book. who cares? Whatever. Anyways, so moving on. Another one, Yuka Sakazaki versus Avery Brooks. Good match. It's pretty fun. Again, this is where I was like, wow, Yuka's energy is absolutely insane, and I couldn't stop like the announcer. I couldn't stop like just smiling and laughing just because she has that energy and she's always just smiling. Doesn't matter.
Mhm.
She's just like, but she hits hard, and I was like, damn, she's good. Great, good match. Like I say, good match because we'll get to the one. Because I talked about the other one where she it was Sky Blue and Yuka versus Athena, and that was better than this one. This one's okay.
Right.
But the match that I thought was actually pretty good on here was Angelico. I was gonna call it Angelico with the Spanish Announce Project versus Takeshita. Of course, I'm gonna throw a Takeshita match in here. Come on, right?
Well, yeah, it's Takeshita.
Great match. Not Takeshita's best match because of the interference that was happening outside the ring, those losers. But when him and Angelico were in the ring together, like Angelico, when he puts those submissions on, and you remember you were saying this is from his training in Mexico.
Mhm.
Holy crap. This guy, like, I don't know how he does some of these things, but he contorts his body. But the end when Takeshita picked him up and gave him the brain buster, but it was almost like a reverse brain buster, then grabbed him again and gave him another one. I was like, holy crap, Takeshita, you're so good. But great, it was a good match. So that was obviously dark, and then ending it off with Rampage. You know I'm gonna have to mention the Elite here. Come on. The Elite versus I mentioned this earlier with Paige, Hardy, and Kassidy. They work so well together. Oh my god! And I put a note down here that the Elite killed Isiah Kassidy. They absolutely murdered him.
They did.
One winged angel into like the BT trigger. I was like, oh my god,
Couldn't believe they picked him up after that.
Yes.
Omega delivers the one winged angel, and I'm like, okay, it's over. No, he hauls him back up, and they deliver the BT trigger.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I was a little
Isaiah's
concerned
dead.
in this match when they did the spot where they did the double senton bomb because when Nick landed on Matt, it looked hard. Like he landed like how Jeff Hardy lands on people. He does a swanton bomb now. Hey, splats. A Cassidy's swanton bomb was really good. Is because it was Omega and Hardy when they landed in an awkward position. So like Omega was closer to the rope and Hardy wasn't, so it took Nick a longer jump. So it's
and Omega shifted his own position.
Yes.
I saw that, right? Hardy didn't move, but Omega shifted his position.
And you see after Nick hits Hardy, he taps him, right? So you could tell something had happened there, right?
Yeah.
But Hardy, the good thing is Hardy's fine. Like, again, I'm telling you, Kassidy, Hardy, and Paige, like finally, Paige is so much fun in the ring again.
Oh, I know, right?
Right? I'm really like it. Like, even though I hate this Stokely's guys, like this is actually working for me. This is actually working for me.
I don't hate the firm anymore.
No.
I think they're fine. They're fun. And seriously, Isiah Kassidy, I even at the end there where he's trying to get a tag and like Matt
they're all
Ethan
they're talking.
He's always checking on Ethan because Ethan might be hurt, and he's like, God. And it literally cost them the match. Right? So I like what they're doing with Isiah Kassidy here too, though. Right?
He's getting a push.
Yeah.
And
oh my god, was he good in this match?
Yes.
Holy hell.
He was doing the Hardy spots with Matt and stuff like that, which I appreciated it because I'm like, yeah, because these guys move like you guys did when you were younger. I mean, come on, right? So I thought that was a great match. A quick call out to the Saraya and Storm match against the Renegade Twins, who I think are fantastic, and Tony Khan should get them on TV more often. They work really well together, those two girls, and they sell well, they hit hard, and they did a good job. Even though the Renegades are normally the bad guys, they made Saraya and Storm look more like bad guys because that's what they're supposed to be doing, right? So I really do like the Saraya Storm. It's growing on me, the bad guy kind of shtick they're going with, because it makes sense,
Yep.
right? And I like how Ruby's thrown in a little bit, because they're like, because again, from last week's Dynamite, why are you here? Aren't you one of them, kind of thing, right? I do like that outlier, just like the Sheeta. Where does Sheeta lie, right? With this kind of stuff. So I had to give a shout out to that as well. I thought that was well done. They're finally listening. You know, like Saraya didn't pull a Cody Rhodes. I have to be good. I'm never gonna turn on you guys. Come on, read the room, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And after cutting that promo too,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah, like Cody Rhodes, the Charles Boyle of wrestling. But like, I mean, read the room, Charles. Brooklyn Nine-Nine reference, guys. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. But yeah, I mean, again, Rampage was good. I really did enjoy Elevation. It was really hard for me to choose a lot of these matches. Of course, I was going to throw the Elite on here. They're finally wrestling again. They're finally wrestling again.
Yeah.
Right. And you're right. Yeah, it was a great match. But I mean, so was the last match. It was Roosh versus, I keep forgetting the guy's name now. Who was it? It was, oh my goodness, why am I forgetting? It was, who did the main event? Sorry, it was, oh my God, I didn't write it down and I totally forgot who did the main event. Oh, well, okay. It was, because it started off with the Elites, then they did the Saraya match, and then it had to be a Roosh match, because I think they're building up to the Danielson match next week. Christopher Daniels, yes. Christopher Daniels versus, I forget the fallen ninja himself. Great match. Christopher Daniels can still go. This guy's like 56 years old or so, 57, I think he is. He doesn't look like he's over 40. This guy looks fantastic. Right? He looks fantastic. And think about it. He is used backstage for, like, I know it's not the HR thing, but he coaches backstage and everything like that. Yeah. Good on you, Christopher Daniels. You are great. And this match is just building up Roosh. I love this. I love what they're doing. But here are my complaints quickly. AEW, fix the way you're booking people. Just because you're giving them a match on Dark or something like that doesn't build their storyline. You did that to Jade Cargill. You failed on her 50th win, whatever, right? Yes, you're trying to build up Roosh, but you're just shoehorning him into random matches now that he has to face Danielson, right? Same thing with Top Flight and stuff like that. Like, yeah, you've had Top Flight on TV for a couple times now. AR Fox has only been on Dark and Dynamite recently, so maybe you should have had some matches. We have all these people ready to go. You need to book smarter, right? You need to book. It was funny. I was listening to a podcast, and one thing they said was, whenever they watch Raw, they always think, that Raw could have been an hour and a half, right? Yeah. 3 hour show could have been an hour and a half. Every time they watched Dynamite, they said, you know what? That show could have been 2.5 hours. Yeah. Right? Because there's so much more they could have done, right? So it's not a complaint. It's like, it's boring. It just moves at such a breakneck speed and there's no time for anything. And when they do have matches, you're kind of like, why is there a squash match on Dynamite? This random nobody.
Well, it's almost like Tony feels, and I'm speculating here. I do not know this for a fact. That Tony feels like he has to ensure that his big draws on the ratings and stuff make it on TV all the time, because the gimmick itself is over, right? And that somehow or other these people are attracting eyes to the product. But you know what will attract eyes to your product in the long run? Not gimmicks. Gimmicks are flash in the pan things. Yeah. They have a really short shelf life.
Yep.
What's going to attract people to a product long term, at least in my opinion,
is the product himself,
is the storylines, right? Like, look, the Bloodline was so good, it even got my attention. Okay, right? Omega Ospreay. Yep. Look how little time that build really took.
Yeah.
Right? And yet we're all sitting here salivating over it. Right? And then the match itself was a component of the story.
Yeah.
That's the thing too, right? You make the match an extension of the story outside the ring. It is one long story process. This is something that's missing from some of AEW's booking, right?
Yep.
You've got all these
Agreed.
great tag teams and stuff, but the feuds themselves kind of fall flat because there's nothing epic about them. I mean, name one blood feud in AEW.
Like right now,
Long-term epic rivals that just when they get in the ring together, you're like, oh my God, here they go again.
like literally, and it's not even a blood feud. I kind of feel like the only one recently we've seen is Mox and Hangman. That's it,
100%. That one
right?
has the potential to become like a
Yeah,
long-term. Every time these guys are across from each other, they're gonna be like
agreed,
eternal foes,
agreed.
and
And
I
I
love it.
and the thing is that neither one of them is a bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
They just have so much respect for wrestling in general
Mm-hmm.
that they're willing to give everything for it, right?
100%. And look, they storyline wise, they just don't like each other, and
Exactly.
that's okay, right? Like, and that's wonderful, right? That's the kind of story you want to see. You want
Yeah.
to see like where you start building up, like Japan does this so well, New Japan does this so well. You've got guys that are just like lifelong rivals, right? They
Mhm.
get in the ring, you know it's gonna go,
Yep.
right? So you need more of that in
Agreed.
AEW. You
I
need
agree.
more storylines where, you build things up in a way that makes sense logically and stuff happens that isn't just shrouded in gimmick or dropped a week later because you're trying to get TV time for people. Pick your best stars and run with them.
And that's it. That's what bothered me a lot about that Jade Cargill match, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they were like, it's her 50th match. Oh no, she's going to get up against Red Velvet. They have history. Thanks. Thanks for nothing. Like, thanks for like absolutely. Listen, I said that match was probably going to be bad. I had called that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I still thought they would have at least given it a build. Like, give it a build. And AEW is normally used to being the company that they give you like they make it seem like the obvious is going to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
then they change it, right? And then it's not the other obvious part, it's something else that happens, right?
Right.
And I like that about AEW. But I hate when they start getting very, very WWE, where it's like, okay, well, it's predictable. We know exactly what's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nothing's a surprise anymore, right? And that's what bothers me about this, right? Hey, there was no way I thought Darby Allin was losing that belt on Wednesday, and guess what happened,
He
right?
lost I know
He
you and me
lost
both.
the
We both
belt.
said there's no way he's losing. There's going to be some way that Samoa Joe loses this match. No, they put the belt on Joe. That was good. That was good storytelling.
That means three people have now had that belt. Three or four people have had that belt twice now. We don't need a belt that's on people for a year.
No, and that's the good thing about having a TV title like that.
Yes,
It's
yes,
allowed to bounce around people. That's
yeah,
completely fine.
yeah.
Give us different championships. Let other people shine a little here and there. It's the smart thing to do, right? I don't want to see a belt sitting on a guy like that kind of belt. You can put the AEW championship on someone and have them hold it for a
Yeah.
long time. That's totally fine. That's a different story entirely. You could also have a flash in the pan champion. That's fine as long as the story's there for it.
Yep.
But it's nice to have a belt where it's defended continuously on TV and the matches are almost always great.
Yep. I
Right.
agreed.
That's great. But AEW needs to fix a few things. They need to fix their tag division,
Mm-hmm.
get some real stories going on there again. It has just died a small death. Those
Yeah.
belts are
Yep.
meaningless now.
No one cares.
Yeah, no one cares. It's exactly true. No one cares about those belts.
Yep.
I mean, I can't even remember the last time I saw an AEW tag team title match that I cared about. I think I'd have
Yeah.
to go back to like the
I
like
would
first
rather
swerve
the
match.
workhorsemen had those belts,
Oh, the
because
workhorse.
they would be awesome with those belts, right? And that's
No,
the problem. Like, we have such great wrestlers, and I'm not saying, I'm not here insulting the Acclaim as they're
mm.
bad wrestlers, because they're
No,
not
they're
bad
not.
wrestlers. They're actually very good wrestlers. But to Bill's point, their gimmick is getting a bit stale, and there's no real like as you said, like these blood feuds. There's nothing.
Yeah.
Do they hate the like? Listen, I don't like the Gun Club, but I'm sorry. Everything the Guns have been saying, I've been agreeing with the entire time. But you know what, Billy? You did do this to your kids, all right? Right? And that's the word. That's the funny part, because I'm like, I hate them, but I'm like, they're making some valid points here. But I still don't care about this match, because who
Yeah.
cares?
It's
Right?
Billy Gunn and his
Yeah.
four like immature children. And
That's what it
I
is.
just
That's
Don't. Okay, and you're right. I'd rather see JG Drake and Mr. We have to mention him on every podcast now,
the
Anthony
Henry.
Henry.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say Drake and Henry, then I'm like, Bill's gonna call me out and mention him again. How
Yep.
amazed I am every time I see him.
Yes, but you have to because he's great.
He is great.
So yeah, I'd much rather be watching, the Workhorsemen versus and give them a story.
Yeah.
How about Brian Pillman Jr. trying to live up to his father's legacy?
Yeah. Or how about this? If you're gonna separate Rampage, Dynamite, and Dark and Elevation, you can have stories separate on those things and keep them there if you
Yes.
want to, right?
Right. Do
It's
you know what would be a
possible.
great feud? Brock Anderson versus Brian Pillman, both of them trying to live up to
Versus the
like their
fathers. Yeah.
father's
Yeah.
legacies and
I
getting
agree.
into it over it and just never giving
Yeah.
it up. And you could build them when they're young now and start it now and then get to the point where it could become freaking epic.
Yeah.
Right. And look, Brock Anderson does not need to wrestle like Kenny Omega.
No.
He needs to
No.
wrestle like you could do like an almost
The old
like
school. Like,
yeah,
dude.
old school, but old school hard hitting, like a
Yeah.
Japanese strong
Yeah.
style. Give him something like that. All
Yeah.
right.
That's true.
And like he'd be that would be perfect to go up against a guy like Brian Pillman Jr. All right.
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of things you could do to start building these kinds of things now. Right.
Yeah.
Give Sammy Guevara a blood foe.
Oh my god, it would be so like, okay, listen, I'm waiting for the
Yeah.
day that Sammy and Garcia finally the split spill happens and they are that's going to be the blood feud. That's going to be a fantastic blood feud because both of those guys are
And
absolutely
they should hate
fantastic.
each other for life. That
For
should
life.
just be it.
That's it.
Yeah. And then every time these guys have to clash, it's going to be epic, right? Like that.
Though I do
That would be
love the
great.
JAS and I do love their broski stuff, but yeah, just everyone listening, listen, I know you. It sounds like I'm being so negative against AEW, but I am because I love the product so much, and I hate to see what's happening with it right now. Because when it started in inception, I was amazed. I was absolutely blown away by this product, and it has faltered, right?
Well,
and we're gonna call it out. As we said, our show, we're gonna call out what's good. We're gonna call out what's bad, right?
Yep.
And so far, like, there's been a lot of things that I question, and I don't see things getting better. Right. So that's where I stand.
Yeah. No, it's I can't disagree with you. It's like, but you know what it is? It's because you and I really love really good wrestling. And we get really good wrestling, but we want really good wrestling because we know the potential it could be at with really good story to go with it. And I'm a story guy. I want my story with my wrestling. I can take two big guys going at it if the story is really good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yep. Well, we will move on then to Japan, where I have some news. First of all, New Japan Pro Wrestling has announced Fantasticamania 2023. It's returning for the first time in 3 years. Krishna, you're going to like this. Fantasticamania is an event where CMLL stars compete in Japan with New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestlers. It's going to take place from February 22nd to the 28th. All 6 shows will air live on New Japan World. So there you go. Another good reason for your $10 a month right there. Not that I'm plugging the thing, but I'm just saying you can find this stuff there. I do not work for them. Some matches will feature teams made of partners that hate each other. In the most innovative booking angle of all time, the partners that can't get along. Although the last time New Japan did that, it was a really good match. So, there's tons of great talent that's going to be on these shows. Titan, Bushi, Hiromu Takahashi, Mystico, Hijo del Villano, 3, Volador Jr., Taiji Ishimori, Master Wato, and a whole bunch more. It looks like a hell of a lot of fun. So, yeah, there's going to be tag matches galore. It's going to be good times. It's going to be lucha things for miles. All the New Japan wrestlers I mentioned there, they're all in the Super Junior division. They can all go. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. So I'm very much looking forward to this. Begins at the end of the month. I'm sure you'll hear me talk about it.
It's called Fantasticamania.
Fantasticamania.
Who thought of this name exactly?
Mexicans and Japanese sitting in a room together going, an awesome name will be Fantasticamania. And they're right, because it is an awesome name. Let's have Fantasticamania.
Well, it's eye-catching, that's for sure.
Yep, that's for darn sure. Sticking with a New Japan theme for now, I just wanted to highlight one match for you. On February 5th, they had their New Beginning in Sapporo show where they had a number of title matches. One of those title matches was Mr. Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Tomohiro Ishii for the NJPW television title. Remember, these are time limit matches.
Mhm.
Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ishii. Holy crap, was this match amazing! It was hard hitting as you would
Mhm.
expect it to be, but it opened up with them going for waist locks, and neither one could get a waist lock on the other. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, Ishii locks an armbar on Zack Sabre Jr.
Wow.
And I was just like, and then he transitioned it to a leg bar, and I'm like, oh my god, this is a match, and it just went like that. Like it was like Ishii dominating parts of it, and just, but it wasn't all of his, just, you know how like when he gets into with someone like Mox, it's just chops and
Mhm.
strikes. He was wrestling Zack Sabre Jr., but
Oh,
it was
wow.
funny because Zack Sabre Jr. got up at one point. Oh, you want to play Technics with me, right? He's like, okay, let's go. And then Sabre took it to another level. And it was just like him working Ishii's arm, but then Ishii working Zack Sabre Jr.'s arm, right? It was just both of them back and forth, working the parts. Some of the moves, there was at one point that was completely insane. Zack Sabre Jr. snapped Ishii's arm, but Ishii on the snap reversed into a bulldog choke into an octopus. Zack Sabre Jr. tries to find out, but then Ishii from a standing position,
Okay.
standing with Zack Sabre Jr. up, lands a Canadian destroyer. Not a running Canadian destroyer, not using the guy's momentum. He landed a freaking Canadian destroyer from a standing position. I was like, what the hell was that? Yeah, it was absolutely nuts. There was also this moment too where Zack Sabre Jr. on his back took Ishii with his legs and like flipped him with his legs. And as he's coming down, applies the armbar. I was just like, how do you even do that so smoothly? This match was absolutely amazing. And the speed, right? Because these are time limited. And at the end,
Mhm.
they just start exchanging these like blows, suplex for suplex, blow for blow. And it comes down right to the end where it was like, Ishii goes for his sliding lariat. Zack rolled him up for two. He hits a headbutt and a sliding lariat then, but then Zack immediately after he kicks out of that comes back, nails the Zack driver, finally puts Ishii down like near the time limit. Such a good match. Such a good match. I mean, both these guys, and look, Ishii showed me like a level that I have never seen in an Ishii
Mhm.
match where he was like wrestling his ass off. I mean, this guy is so good. Right. I mean, to stand like that with Zack Sabre Jr. in that
It's pretty
match, I
impressive.
mean, these guys put on a show. So highly recommend checking that match out from the New Beginning in Sapporo show. Um, some Stardom news. Stardom Supreme Fight 2023 took place on February the 5th. It is not yet up on Stardom World, so I have not yet watched it. It takes them a few days when it's, because this was one of their 7 million pay-per-views a year. So I will be reviewing that show later this week once I have seen it. Look forward to a bonus podcast in all likelihood. There is a special singles match on it. Mirai taking on Chihiro Hashimoto from Sendai Girls. This is kind of a warm-up match because Hashimoto actually wants to get at Suri, but Mirai kind of got in the way and was like, "You got to take me on first." So, and Mirai's showing in the tournament, the Triangle Derby, she's been incredible. I mean, my God, the kind of arm bars and moves this woman can put on people, it's I've seen her at almost another level. There's the Nanoa roulette match. There's going to be 15 wrestlers competing in rapid single elimination tournament with randomly drawn opponents. This was Mayu Iwatani's idea from that one show back in early January.
Okay.
So it's happening on this show. Each match has a 5-minute time limit. If it goes to a draw, both participants are eliminated. So you got 5 minutes to beat someone. The winning wrestler gets a shot at a championship of their choice at a future date. And the competitors are Mayu Iwatani, Momo Kogo, Tam Nakano, Natsupoi, Mina Shirakawa, Waka Tsukiyama, Mariah May, Mai Sakurai, Tekla, Natsuko Tora, Saki Kashima, Miyu Amasaki, Yuna Mizumoru, and Momoka Hanazono, and an X. And I'm going to assume that X will probably be Super Strong Stardom Machine just because. There is also going to be a Goddesses of Stardom championship match with Yu and Nenai Takahashi taking on Maika and Himeka. And then the Wonder of Stardom Championship match, Saya Kamatani taking on Momo Watanabe to break the defense record, fighting the person that holds the current record. What an awesome story. Take note, Tony Khan. That's long-term booking for you right there. And then the World of Stardom Championship match, Julia taking on Suzu Suzuki from Prominence, her old rival. They have unfinished business. So that's going to be great. Speaking of them, another match I want to recommend came from the Stardom in Osaka show, night 2, January 15th. It was a triangle derby match. Bari Bari Bombers, who is Julia, Tekla, and Mai Sakurai, taking on Gold Ship, which is the Oedo Tai team of Momo Watanabe. Why am I suddenly blanking? Oh, Saki Kashima and Natsuko Tora. For some reason, my brain briefly stopped functioning. But no, this was a great match. It was both teams got a lot in, and you just got to a point too where Tekla and Tora were in the ring together, exchanging elbows. Tora gets the better on her with a running shoulder tackle. But she was soon triple teamed only briefly. Like Natsuko Tora is the leader of Oedo Tai, right? And so she immediately drops Tekla with a lariat, a seated cannonball against the ropes. I mean, and this woman flies across it. She's not a small woman. Okay. So, and she flies, like she can move. It almost looked like she was getting gassed in this match because she had been moving so fast, so much. She locks on a Tekla, though, hits a spear for 2 on her at one point after a second senton miss, gets the crossface. He drags Tora into a new position as she fights. Tora still manages to reach the ropes. That's what I loved, right? Like she got her in the crossface and just kept changing the angle continuously to keep the ropes nowhere near her feet. It was brilliant wrestling. All right. It was just like those little things. I love them. But you eventually get Goldship interfering when Tekla tries to come back again. But Julia and Tekla do double DDTs to Saki and Momo. But on the crossbody out of the ring, Tekla misses completely, hits her own teammates. Goldship tosses Tekla into the ring where she's triple teamed. Tora hits a Michinoku driver for 2. On the follow up, Tekla rolls up Tora. Goldship breaks up the pin together. Momo hits the B driver. Saki hits the diving. The B driver is essentially like it's almost like the Dead Eye kind of. Saki hit the diving double stomp, and Tora the Swanton bomb in a move Goldship calls the trifecta. Like Natsuko Tora hitting a Swanton bomb. She, like I said, she's not a small woman. It kills people, and she hits it every time dead on. I've never seen her miss. So call out to that. Anyway, Goldship got 3, which was kind of surprising to me. I thought Bari Bari Bombers was going to win this match. Tons of good moves in this match. Goldship actually dominated the vast majority of it, which was impressive. I mean, those 3 work well together. Like the Momo Watanabe, Saki Kashima, and Natsuko Tora. They're such a good team. And that takes nothing away. Julia, Tekla, and Mai Sakurai, they are also a really good team. This main evented that card, and it was a very, very good trios match. So I would recommend checking that out as well.
Awesome.
And that then takes us to our matches of the week. What do you got for us this week, Krishna?
I think the match that I'm gonna give it to is the, I guess, a rubber band match between Joe. I guess not, maybe not. Joe versus Darby Allin. It's been a while since I've seen craziness like this, which there was barely any blood, and absolute like destruction of people's bodies and stuff like that. And again, an ending that I didn't call. I didn't know it was gonna happen. So I'm gonna give my match of the week to Samoa Joe and Darby Allin.
Good pick. Almost my pick too. I went with the Zack Sabre Jr. Ishii match. And the reason why that one did it for me was, one, there were moments in that match that I legitimately almost left out of my chair going, holy crap, how'd they do that? And I love that kind of stuff. I loved the storytelling, wrestling, the working of the arms, and Ishii surprising the hell out of me. Right? Maybe I just don't know his wrestling well enough, and that's quite possible. But hey, I learned something about him. Got another level of respect for the man. Watch them put on a hell of a classic match in a very short period of time, because these are I think 20 minutes, 15-minute matches. But anyway, yeah. I mean, my honorable mention, of course, the Elite versus the Firm. I loved that match.
Yeah, it's
Um,
such a good match. I agree there.
yeah, Hangman and Mox. I loved that match too. Darby and Samoa Joe, another great match this week. So yeah, all of those would be honorable mentions for my match of the week. But man, that the Zack Sabre, I mean Zack Sabre Jr. He's just so good. And now the leader of TMDK, who unfortunately lost their tag title challenge
Oh
against
no.
Demon. So that's our matches of the week. Wrestler of the week.
I don't think I've ever given him the rest of the week. And I do talk about him a lot though, but it's not Henry. It's gonna be Darby Allin. I'm giving him wrestler of the week because I think we do get spoiled with Darby sometimes in terms of like, yeah, we know this guy's gonna do everything, throw his body, and but man, does he take punishment? Man, does he sell? And that match this past week was absolutely fantastic. Like he got beaten down, belt taken away from him, everything. Yeah, they had the big Wardlow return, but who cared? That match was absolutely fantastic, right? So Darby Allin, my wrestler of the week.
Yep. I'm going to agree with you on this one. Now, I didn't pick Zack Sabre Jr. Ishii for this reason. They put on a great match and worked really well together, but for them it was like a tandem, right?
Mm,
And then Samoa Joe did his role too. But kudos to Darby Allin for bumping like an animal for Joe every time they get there.
yeah.
And even when he had the battle with his hoodie and
Yep.
couldn't get it back on because the thumbtacks were tangled in the I mean, whoever thought him putting the hoodie back on was a good idea. I mean, yeah, anyway. And then still jumping off and landing his move and the thing goes flying. But anyway, that aside, you know, he just he his character is just so solidly well done.
Yeah.
It's like he breathes it, you
Yeah.
know, and it comes across in his wrestling. His wrestling is so amazing. It's spot on. I mean, I don't sit here and think of like anything in that match where I was like, man, that looked a little off or something. He
Mhm.
kills everything he does. And man, fearless.
Yeah.
Joe sidestepping that table and him just going like the dude knows he's on the run. He's going to go diving through the rings into a table at full speed.
He doesn't care.
Yeah, it's fine.
Doesn't
He's
care.
doing it. It's like total respect to this guy. Total
Yeah.
respect.
Agreed.
He goes out there and gets wrecked continuously, but wrestles amazingly constantly. And you're right. We don't shout that out enough on this show. So yeah, Darby Allin, also my wrestler of the week.
Yeah, and he doesn't need Sting with him anymore. Like get rid of that. He doesn't need anybody with him. And if you're gonna pair him up with somebody and you want him to like have someone cool to give him one of the young guys, give him a Jungle Boy, but Jungle Boy who says he's gonna go solo. Give him somebody else, right? Like just give him somebody else. Like I mean, like if you need to team him up, but these guys, like look at this. The one person who needs gold around him now because hey, Darby's had it is Jungle Boy, right?
Yep.
We need to have some gold around that guy because he's so good. But like, look how many babyface wrestlers AEW has, and they're so young. They're so young, right? Like AEW just needs to lock these guys down, get some good storylines around them because what has Jungle Boy done since he came back?
Right.
Right? Like, hey, guess what? Joe and Darby could have a blood feud. Right? They
Yeah,
can definitely.
they're well on their way to getting
Yeah,
there, right? Although they did
exactly.
say, "Oh, no more rematches." Well,
Yeah.
what if neither one of them has the belt?
Yep.
Sounds like some unfinished business, boys.
Yeah. And exactly.
And
Then
I
where
would
do you
willingly
put,
watch. Yeah.
yeah, where do you put Darby after that? Right?
Yeah.
Where do you slot him in? So yeah, I can't. And Darby, you're right. Darby is good on the mic and everything like that. We really don't give him enough credit.
Yep.
But yeah, he's such a good wrestler. And like when he was signed, I remember we used to be like, this guy, he's like so tiny and stuff like that. Now looking at him, man, he's gotten so good. And yeah, I just love Darby Allin. He's so awesome.
Yep. 100%. And see, there is a very positive note for us to end on this week.
Agreed.
Exactly. Darby Allin, you're amazing. We love you. But as the great one always says, goodbye, everybody. Mwah! And good night. Bang.
Good night, everyone.